The Fermi paradox is a hypothetical reasoning for the explanation of why we haven't found aliens yet. Basically, it's the idea that multiple ideas of why aliens haven't come to us, or we haven't found them yet, why we're not searching long enough. It's just many explanations for why we haven't found aliens. And me and my good buddy Flynn will be going through some of these reasons and maybe understanding if they're true, maybe understanding what would happen if they are true, and what do we do as a civilization if they are or aren't. Hello, Flynn.
Hey, Dan. Well, I'm back. I'm excited to record our third episode.
Yes. You go first, because I want to hear your ideas first.
Alright. So, like Dan said, there's many reasons for the Fermi paradox. I think there's a lot, isn't there? There's what, over 16 different mainstream theories?
Yeah, it depends where you see it from, but you can see graphs with about 8, but you'll find another one with 8 more that are completely different. But
I've got about 4 here. And I've ordered them from most likely to least likely.
Ooh, a list. I did not do a list.
A list. Alright, well, I'll start with what I think is probably the least likely.
Alright.
Jesus, when I put it...
Well, yeah.
We aren't advanced enough for higher life.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think it's the least likely one. This is what I hear. We aren't advanced enough for higher life.
Yeah.
Higher life ignores us and sees us as we would see ants or cockroaches. It's not something worth wasting out their time on. I feel like they would have to be okay, here's my gripe for this one. They would have to be so much more advanced than us. They'd have to be so much more just to ignore us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? It's
yeah, definitely. I get what you mean.
We acknowledge the existence of cockroaches and rats and ants.
Yeah.
And they know we exist, and we know they exist. I feel like they'd have to be so much more advanced, so much more technologically superior and intellectually superior for them to be so high above us we don't even notice them, and they just ignore us that much.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really likely. Do you disagree?
Well, I disagree on some level because, like you said, when we see cockroaches, we see nothing but a pest. When we see cockroaches, we're not trying to help them advance to come to the same intellect as us.
But cockroaches know we exist. Cockroaches see us. Why aren't we? If we're cockroaches, why aren't we seeing the humans? But they would have to be they would have to be a whole another level compared to us and cockroaches.
It's
say there's about 10 spaces between us and cockroaches, 10 spaces, a line of 10 meters away from us and cockroaches. These guys would have to be 100 spaces, or 100 meters away from us, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
They can see us, but we can't see them.
Comparatively. Comparatively, they'd have to be much bigger. Yeah. Much more different.
And I get that we, if they are so advanced, how come we haven't seen them yet? Which really doesn't make a lot of sense, because if they're so advanced and big, we should be able to see them, using sun as energy, using the galaxy as energy, but we don't. So I do agree with you on some level, but then again, we also see things that we actually regard higher as lesser beings and that we don't really interact with much unless we have to. Bears in the wild. We're not going to go out there, give it a gun, and tell it to go hunt. We're going to avoid it at all costs, because either it can hurt us, or we'll get in trouble for hurting it.
So do you think aliens could see us as bears, as these kind of dumber creatures, but they could be dangerous?
Yeah,
Okay, alright.
We have nuclear weapons, and that's proved that it could destroy a planet if we really wanted to. So
the Death Star.
Yeah. not like a Death Star, but more like a lot of explosions happening on the planet at once. That's enough to wipe out a civilization, right? Maybe aliens don't want to go near us because, who knows, we could be a bear that's unpredictable, that could really just do anything,
Okay.
So, yeah.
I see your point. I see your point there, definitely. That makes sense.
So what was your other ideas?
I think the third most likely. I think this could be fairly interchangeable with the fourth one. So the rest of this, basically it's a reverse. Basically, the rest of the universe is so primitive and so underdeveloped that like we just haven't found them and they can't reach out to us. And I think, isn't this already technically true? Like we know there's bacteria on Mars, right?
No.
Isn't there bacteria on Mars?
There's no bacteria on Mars. No, that's.
Wait, let me look this up. Bacteria on Mars.
Anything that you've heard, we have found no life that has been organically made on other planets other than Earth.
Okay, well then I've been lied to.
Yeah, don't. Okay, when someone says they found life on another planet, that's not.
Okay,
true.
I've bought into fake news media. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I'm wrong there.
No,
I'm wrong. Okay, but
it's
anyway.
It is very. I think we are, because as we know it by now, we are the most complex things the universe have created. That's how we see it, because we don't see any other intelligent life, and intelligence is very confusing. It's very complex. But, you know, so is single cells. Like, making that, we don't even understand how to do it, but we can, you know, fly, we can go to the moon, but we don't understand how life was created. That's very, like...
Wait, just offhandedly for a second. Like, wasn't the gap between making an aeroplane, like the first, like, beta aeroplane, and then making a rocket that lands on the moon, like, 50 years?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's like a 40-degree slope of evolution. Like,
yeah.
It really...
That's enormous.
And I think it's going to become a 90-degree slope very, very soon. We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, like, okay. Think about the gap between life in a 1880 and actually, think of the gap between 1750 and like the 1800s. Like think about the gap between that, right? Like technologically, it's very, very, very similar. Now think of the gap between like the 1750s and the 1650s, also pretty similar. Now think about the technology that we have in 2021 compared to the technology people had. Yeah, in 20 years ago.
It's insane.
It's completely different.
So, would you think that even if a planet was living in the year 2100, they are still really, like, much more advanced than us, the way that we see our own evolution?
Yeah.
Or, the other way around, they're still living in the 1600s, and they're still in the medieval times, going around doing their own thing, while we're in 2021, more advanced than them, and we can't even detect them because they're so insignificant. So
yeah, you could be right. Yeah,
I do get that. Like, I actually think that might be. I thought that would be higher up on your list of probability, because I think intellect is either very, very rare or very, very uncommon. Like, I don't think there would be a middle ground between rare and common when it comes to intellect, because it's such a complex thing that took billions of years to evolve. But
yeah,
I see what you mean. I do agree, but I reckon that would be higher up on the list.
Okay,
go on.
And as I'm going through my list now, I actually disagree now with my second most likely pick. I actually think this should have been my fourth most likely pick.
Ooh.
But here's what it is, alright? What I originally had as second was we are the only life. And now, all life is exceedingly rare. And I actually don't really know if I agree with that anymore. Because, and I was going to go into more of this with my top. Actually, I'll go with my topic as well, because they're both pretty connected. Where is it? My documents is so unorganized. Here we go. Yeah, actually, okay. This is why I don't think that's actually true. We are the only life, and life exceedingly rare. I don't think that's true because the universe is so big, it's so massive, and we have like evidence there are planets out there that are capable of having like life, right?
Yeah.
Well, and we think like most scientists like believe that like it's very highly likely that there are alien life. I think it's way more likely there is because that makes sense. It's a massive world, and if we are the only life in that world, I don't know if I agree with that necessarily.
Ooh.
Like speaking on a purely scientific level.
Well, yeah, according to statistics and maths and all that, we should have found aliens by now. we should have.
But the universe is so big. We just haven't. And this is my first one. We just haven't found them. It is so big. It's massive.
Yeah,
We just haven't seen them. Like,
I think we only have.
I need a source, Dan. Where I need a source though. Like, like who says we should have found them by now? If we only figured out how to go to the moon in the past, like what, 100 years? Well, a bit over 100 years.
It would be less than 50. No, probably a little bit more than 50. I remember the 50-year celebration thing.
Also, like, why haven't we done anything besides? Actually, no, I do know why, because there's a whole thing with the moon landing. It's like, why haven't we gone to any other planets after that? Because, and I saw something about it. It was like, because like people just lost interest in the space race. People just lost interest in going to space because you want to focus on the problems we have here on Earth. And I think that's why that space travel itself isn't necessarily inevitable, but green energy is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, look, I'm not a greenie, but I'm also definitely not against.
Oh no.
all of that.
Me neither. I'm not a greenie either. I'm just saying that like that's just inevitable. That's just gonna happen.
With our world in harmony is a solution, but it's not one that will last forever. The sun can only live for so long, and we can only travel so far before we have to move. So,
but I mean, then there's another question: were we ever designed to leave this planet?
Yes, we were.
But who says?
Me.
Fair
Why is space travel like? Why can we do it if we're not meant to do it?
We can apply that to a lot of things. Like, we're not meant to throw ourselves into a
freezer,
massive hole. Yeah, we're not supposed to, but we can.
But we can.
That doesn't mean we were meant to.
That doesn't. It doesn't mean we're not meant. It doesn't mean we're not meant to. We weren't specifically.
So can't you apply that to space travel?
Well, I mean, I think we're not specifically made to do anything, really. It's up to us.
Besides, like, procreate, basically.
Oh, yeah, we kind of have to do that. Like, we don't really get a choice.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're not made to do anything. It's really just, let's do it. Let's just do it. They thought going to the moon was impossible. They thought climbing Mount Everest was possible. And it only took someone to actually do it for them to realize that we can do it. It just takes a bit of time. And that's okay.
I think another thing about the colonization of like Mars, which you've been hearing about recently, is should private companies like Elon Musk wants to colonize Mars? Should private companies be colonizing Mars? Should like the UN and like the nations be colonizing Mars?
I think private companies are the way to go, and that's because. But
like, can you trust them? Can you trust a private? Would you trust a private company? Remember one about he just said.
If you step back,
why would you like a company is only not to sound like a communist or anything, but like private companies are only private companies their only incentive is to make money. Like at the end of the day, that's what it is.
But if
compared
you step
to
back,
government, where in a perfect world, the government is supposed to look after its citizens. Yeah. Which I don't. Which. So, like, who would you rather trust, like, basically bringing out a new thing of people?
I'd trust a private company, because if you step back and look at it...
You trust Elon Musk?
Personally, I think Elon Musk is an idol that people shouldn't look up to personally, but people should follow his ambitions, because...
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's in it for the right reasons. Money...
Is he, though?
Money isn't everything. Sometimes you've just got to step back.
What a profound statement.
Sometimes you've just got to step back and trust that the people who are going to go to space are doing it because it's advancing our civilization, not just for like money, for numbers, not just for numbers to rise.
Well, we switch. Usually, I'm the one who's trying to play to like the best of humanity. Now we've switched around.
It's because I feel something very connected when it comes to the future and space and exploration, and it's just like this little bit of hope. Because if we don't have hope, then we're going to be stuck on this planet that's already dying, and it's kind of like.
But does it have to be dying? Why can't we fix it? I think we're already in the stage of fixing it.
We are. But is that enough? Is that enough to last us?
Well, we want to try.
Years old to be a civilization that actually lives in the universe.
I mean, assuming that the sun is going to explode in a million years.
That's not assuming. Knowing.
Wouldn't the sun like already like kill us? Like, if it's expanding and it gets closer and closer to the Earth, it's expanding. Wouldn't we just die of like heat before
they don't? It's not proved that the sun will engulf the Earth, but we will definitely die of heat. Like, it'll expand and plants will die.
I guess in a way, assuming that the humanity's going to survive for another 7 billion years, which is really crazy to think about considering how much has happened in, like, what?
12 billion. 12,000, sorry, I don't know why I said billion. 12,000 years. Because I think...
It's really been around for 12,000 years?
I think aggregation... I could be dead wrong. I could be way off the mark, but I'm pretty sure agriculture started about 12,000 years ago, maybe longer. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But that's when the big boys started to rise, you know? Like ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Nordichico.
Yeah, so
Once again, I could be very, 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 very wrong. I wouldn't put it past me. But yeah.
So I will say, don't quote him on that.
Don't quote me on that. If you want real evidence, type it up. Don't take what I say.
Don't trust us. We have no idea what we're talking about. We're just two guys with too much free time.
Anyway,
that wouldn't be a bad podcast name. Two guys with too much free time, but
yes. But even though you're struggling to find time to record.
Oh no, I'm not, Dan. At least I'm giving you time in advance. At least I'm telling you in advance.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. But next, what do you think is the most likely reason we haven't found aliens?
Yeah, I think the most likely reason is just space is too big.
So it's too big as in we'll never find them, or it's too big as we haven't found them yet? Yeah,
too big as we haven't found them yet.
Alright, yeah. I agree with that. I think that is a very, you know...
Well, what were your other ideas for that? Like, is there any that I listed which you didn't have, or?
No, but...
Oh, so the ones I've said, those are the same ones that you were going to talk about?
Not exactly, because I did write down another... Because, okay, story time. Not really story time, just a short thing.
Okay, the old one's out.
I can't draw, so don't expect any drawings on the thanks screen, whatever it's called. But basically, I write a lot, and when I write, I often write about these hypothetical situations. Yeah, and we both write, and we both know that when we're passionate about something, we can produce thousands of words, and it will feel like we've only been writing for 30 minutes. But
that's very true. That is very true.
So when I write about these sort of things, I kind of explode in ideas. Like, I have multiple ideas, and though I haven't written them down in the official, confidently incorrect classified script,
random notes on a Google Doc.
Yeah, I've got.
At least that's what
I've got the fancy booklet. I've got the fancy document with our official logo on it, with copyright stuff.
Where is that? Where is that? Can I have it?
No.
I'm just gonna dodgy
to make.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, but yeah, everything that you've said, I agree with to some level. Like, okay. I definitely agree that everything...
In the first episode, you said we had two very different minds, so I need to argue with you, I need to...
Oh, yeah, like, I definitely argue the fact that, you know, maybe we are alone, and that's something to consider with...
But I don't think we are. I don't think we're alone. I think...
I'm gonna give you a little situation. Let's say we've created a civilization. We're the masters of a universe, and we've created this civilization, and we're going to call it the Jokerloids, because they're based like Joker. These Jokerloids.
Oh my god!
they're a Type 0.
Oh, just really quickly. I know that wanted us to talk about this. Who is the best Joker? Who is the best Joker?
Heath Ledger.
I think it's. It's between him and Joaquin Phoenix.
Joke one.
Between him and Joaquin.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Joaquin, you can't. Yeah, it's as long as your answer isn't Jared Leto, you're right in my book. But anyway, go on. Carry on.
Anyway, so
Very controversial opinions here.
we've created the Jokaloids. Yeah, Jokaloids. They're very based, but they're a Type 0 civilization. They haven't harnessed the full power of their planet yet, and they're still wondering about their own life, sort of like where we are. But as they advance, they start to realize that things are possible, like creating AI, in which they do, and all of a sudden their evolution is going at a 90-degree angle where they're discovering everything at once because they've created an intelligent life a million times smarter than them. Now, flash forward maybe a couple of millions of years. This civilization is thriving throughout their galaxy, harnessing the power of stars through Dyson spheres. They've got an unimaginable amount of energy, and they've got nowhere to put it. They realize that their universe is going to die. It's inevitable. They can't do anything about it. And a long-lasting civilization like them has to make a mark somehow, but they've run out of time. How do they keep surviving with so much energy but so little places to live with such little time? They create a simulation. They create a world where, in their world, a second could be 1 billion years in the real world. Because, you know, that could be possible with, like, a lot of energy. So we're looking down at our simulation that we created, looking at this little civilization that's alone in this universe, that just created another simulation where they're looking down at another civilization alone in their own universe. And it keeps going on. Who's to say that we aren't, you know, the 600th civilization in that chain?
So you think we could be in a simulation?
Yeah. Have you watched Rick and Morty?
I have watched Rick and Morty.
I did not base this off this. I just came up with this thought. But there's one episode where he goes into his battery and it's a miniature world. You know that one?
Yeah, I've seen. Oh, that one's so messed. That one's so dark.
I thought it was a good episode, but it's kind of like that. Like, if you let your civilization evolve enough, will they create another civilization? And who's to say that we're even real when we could be controlled by some other person and every energy that we harvest is going to someone's car? Like, how do we know that's not happening and we are alone? Because it's a good chance. So who's to say that we don't live in a world that's already been created by someone else, who lives in a world that's already been created by someone else? And it's a good example of we could live alone, because why create another civilization when you've got one that's thriving throughout their galaxy, creating an unimaginable power source that even you could use, or that you're living in, or you are the civilization redoing it, maybe using that amount of time you have to create a solution to stop the end of the universe. Like, there's a lot of ways to think about this. There's a lot of ways to think, why would someone create a simulation? There's a lot of ways to think, would we be the only civilization that was created?
That is hard to think about.
It is hard to think
about.
That is. But doesn't that give us purpose?
It does. It does it?
Well, if we live in a simulation made to create power, that gives us the meaning of life, to create power for these higher beings. If we're made to find a solution to an answer to create an eternal empire, then that's the meaning of life. We're knowledge seekers. It does give us meaning, but the drawback is that we don't know how many layers of reality there are before we understand how real reality works. But don't you think
that is
mind-boggling? Is too perfect? It's just too perfect. It can't.
Is it perfect though?
It is. It is really perfect for us. There's like numbers and all of this stuff that is just perfect. We're just perfect. And it's why I love understanding ourselves in our universe. It's because it just doesn't feel real, and that's exciting, because it gives you meaning. And it also gives you this idea that, you know, if I live in a simulation, then this reality is not even real. And that maybe upstairs, where the big guy is, it's something 100 times worse or 100 times better. Sort of like a god. and
that is a lot to chew on. That is a whole...
It is, but it is also my most likely for why we haven't found aliens yet. or my most likely on why aliens just don't exist and we are alone.
So you believe if there are no other aliens in the world, it's just us in like the universe.
Yeah.
We live in a simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there's also other stuff like we are late to the party and everyone else has already gone and been. But there's also we are early to the party and we have to carry that torch of intellect and let that flame burn until another one takes it off us and carries on with their civilization. And we just become an encyclopedia on how to live in a universe. So, there's a lot of things. But it's all possible. Like, a lot of people say, science fiction, it's sci-fi, it's out of the realm of possibilities, but it's really not. Which is cool,
Well, that is cool.
It is good to think about, because it does make your life a little bit... It depends how you look at it. Because you don't want to be a nihilist,
Yeah, that's fact. That is fact. Being a nihilist isn't base.
Nothing exists, so why should I exist anyway? That's depressing. That is sad.
That's really sad. I like, if you just name with like the dog wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
It's like, don't ever try anything at all. Just be a nihilist, and we just live on a rock floating. People are like, oh, we live on a rock floating in space. Nothing even matters at all. It's like get over yourself.
It's like, but then you look at people like, what's the guy? The guy who I was gonna say Kratos, then I realized he's the god of war. Who's
Thanos?
Platos. Is it Platos? The philosopher? Yes.
Plato.
Yeah. Well, Play-Doh, as in the malleable children's toy, he wasn't a nihilist. And look where he has gotten us all these thousands of years later. Look at Einstein.
Pretty good.
He wasn't a nihilist. And he understood that how small we are and the implications
and look at Stephen Hawking. He was a nihilist, and now he's dead.
Yeah, but I don't think he was.
Think about that.
I think
I think he was. Like he was very against like the belief of God and belief of any sort of like spirituality or because isn't that really not like nihilism isn't necessarily just like saying that aliens don't exist or like there's no point to anything. Oh no, it is.
Well, nihilism doesn't mean you don't believe in God. Like I don't believe in the God. No nihilist believes in God. Believes in a God or an a But not all atheists are nihilists. It's one of those situations.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
It is interesting. It is interesting, but to think there is a God is either foolish or.
Here we go. Things are gonna keep going.
I don't.
Say it.
No, say it. There's nothing wrong with believing in God, because to some extent I also believe in a God. I believe in there is something, we're just too perfect for there not to be something, doesn't matter what it is, something that we just don't understand yet. But to say there is a God that created the planet 6,000 years ago and just poofed everything to existence, and that's more likely than billions of years of chains of events that led to where we are now, is ridiculous. And I'm not shitting on.
I see your point. I see your point. No, definitely.
Because
here's what I never understood. Dan, is I never understood why. I'm not trying to like say anything. What I never understood is why is like out of nowhere in like the dead of nothing, like there's nothing. Then all of a sudden, like there was like an explosion.
Yeah.
And now everything is like the Big Bang Theory was made by a priest. As a way to show that like a god or like a Christian god made the world. That is how the Big Bang Theory was made. I can pull up his name too if you want.
It is very because you can't prove that nothing.
Yeah,
came from nothing.
George Latimore is Belgian cosmologist, Catholic priest, and father from the Big Bang Theory. So when a person came up with the Big Bang Theory, it's a Catholic priest. And like, have you seen that? There's this image. I might send it to Will if I can find it. I'll edit to put it up on screen of why does it matter if it's like a picture of the Big Bang. It's a picture of the Big Bang with a hand over it. Why does it matter what it is? Because like whatever you believe in, you were nothing, and then like something happened out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if it's necessarily more foolish to say that someone made the world, or a bunch of random little sparks and matter flying in nowhere made the world out of nothing. Like, I don't know if one is necessarily better or worse than the other. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
But I definitely see where you're coming from.
It is. I'm mainly talking about the Bible's God. Look, I disclaimer, I like religion. I like the philosophies that most religions teach.
So by the Bible God, do you mean like the Abrahamic God? So like Yahweh, yeah. Yahweh, Allah, and God?
Yes, so, the ones that created the universe in 6,000 years ago.
But you could probably apply this to, like, I don't know, mythology or like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, look, mythology is more the power of certain things. Like Poseidon is
the power of what is that?
Power of wave. He is the power of beach, of water.
Sounds like a power, not Power Ranger, like a My Hero Academia. I don't know.
We're not going to mention anything related to
that. Alright,
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're referring to. Anything about a green-haired boy, a twink that I just want to punch in the face if I could. Anyway, moving on. When the mythology people worship something, they worship a manifestation of what they believe of a power, like fire, thunder, rain, water, Avatar, Korra, anything like that. They worship that because it's it's a reason for why the things happen. Yeah, like how we worship God because how else was the universe made? But it's naive to think that we're the only civilization. If this is the real world, if there are other alien civilizations, because the proof of other aliens kind of disproves God a little. Because in the Bible it said that God created humans and animals on Earth, not the Jokerloids.
See, that's why I don't buy into a lot of the Old Testament. That's why, because it's a bit like it's a lot of the Old Testament doesn't really make a lot of sense, in my opinion.
No.
I think the New Testament is a lot more makes more sense.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's just
the New Testament was made by inbreds, but the New Testament is
by inbred.
I think the whole Bible is a metaphor, and that's why if you look at it as a metaphor,
that's valid. That's a valid.
Yeah. Let's stop talking about the Bible because we're going to get drone striked by the Pope.
We're gonna get dark. Like, I do not believe that Jesus Christ turned like water into wine. I don't believe that. I don't believe that like he split like a ton of bread and fish. I don't believe that necessarily. I believe that I don't know. Like, it's something I'm still working out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
people... me personally, I believe in like a higher power. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
And I don't buy that there's no like higher, but I don't necessarily believe that. But I see where you're coming from, definitely.
Yeah. It's confusing because it depends how you look at it. It's all about perspective. If you look at religion, seeing it as a metaphor, you're going to see maybe the manifestation of God is a metaphor for our glory, our forgiveness, all of the virtues and sins, all of that.
We've gone very off topic, haven't we? Done there.
Yes, it all links back somehow. But it's basically, if aliens exist...
So reminds me of Doom Eternal, like aliens and religion.
Dude, I could rant on about how much I love Doom Eternal.
That game's so good.
Anyway, I've got one last thing. What if we weren't alone? What if, like, this is an extension? Like, what if we found aliens?
A bonus, if you will.
A bonus, yes. What if we did find aliens? What would we do?
I don't... Actually, that reminds me, you heard of, like, the whole, like, thing with, It was this, there's like a whole conspiracy about like Donald Trump like being the head of like a space like confederation, and then we've been in contact with aliens for years, and like that kind of reminds me of what you're saying right now. Like what would we? I don't know. It'd be pretty huge. It would be.
Oh, it would be massive news.
Depends what kind of aliens.
Well, that's the next part. Well, what if we weren't alone? Would they help us? Would we help them?
Like, are we talking about like humanoid, like human kind of alien? Not necessarily
For
humanoid,
the sake of
but, like,
for the sake of the thought, yes, humanoid. Something we can
so
understand.
yeah.
Nothing like from Arrival. Think more
Avatar, not the TV show, but the movie with the blue people.
Oh yeah. Think that. So if they come to us, are they going to be like what we'd expect us to be like to others, where we?
So these are nice aliens, not like the aliens from like the Alien movie.
Yeah,
with not xenomorphs, just chill dudes. Alright,
yeah, nothing from I forgot that movie with what's his name in it about the aliens that come down, and it's very.
That's a lot of movies.
There's very gruesome. It's
that movie with the dude where a lot of aliens come down.
There's like big tripod.
That's like a whole genre.
There's big tripod machines that shoot everything, and a lot of people die, and the guy has like an autistic daughter, and the son goes and joins the war.
Editor, if you can find that, just put that up on the
War
screen.
of the Worlds.
You can find what movie we're talking about. War of the Thank you.
War of the Worlds. That's the one. That's a good movie.
Thank you,
editor.
Thank you, editor.
But okay, so would we conquer them?
Depends. Like we're assuming that we're pretty closely intellectual, and
So does intellect make you peaceful?
well, I'm assuming they don't want war. Humans don't. We do not want war with aliens. I'm assuming they don't want war.
Yeah, but we want war with ourselves. So wouldn't it be more likely that
if we wanted war with ourselves, then why isn't Kim Jong Un sending nukes to South Korea? If we want war, he doesn't want war.
They don't want war, but it happens. It could be the same thing with aliens. It might be an accident. You know, there's the old joke: shaking an alien's hand is a declaration of war in their language. Like, you know. Anything.
Well, like for the sake of the argument, let's say that they could like translate this so we could understand them and they could understand us.
Then I reckon we'd.
Like for all we know, there could be a whole other race of humans.
Yeah.
On like another planet.
What if
they just like evolve the same?
Is so set in one direction that no matter where you go, you will end up with humans. You will end up with Homo sapiens. Like, because if you set two rolling balls down a hill with the exact same variables, they should have the same result.
They should be the same. And there's so many planets out there which is like similar to Earth. We've discovered.
But
like,
even there,
if
if humans are still alive when Pangea is around, that could change their life drastically. They could evolve to have longer limbs so they can run further on the giant continent, because they can't really swim anywhere because there is no other place to swim, no other place to travel on boats, so they're running all the time. But
actually, like, speaking of that, what about, this is going to be a whole like big other thing, but what about a multiverse? Like in Spider-Man, no, like Earth's coming out very soon. So
I saw that trailer. Looked very good.
What if there's a multiverse, like parallel universes?
I believe
because those aren't really aliens, are they? Those
they're just ourselves, but different. I believe in quantum suicide.
What does that mean?
So it's the idea that it's kind of like it's nothing like Schrodinger's cat. It might be a little bit, but basically, if let's say you are playing Russian roulette, and you have a 1 in 6 chance of dying. No matter what,
Russian roulette, kids.
No matter what, you will survive, because your consciousness can't live on in a world where you're dead. And if you're making split decisions that branch off into a new parallel world every single second, then you'll have a million parallel worlds.
You'd have infinite worlds.
You would have infinite worlds that you could move into where you're still alive. And eventually that branch keeps going until your inevitable death, which has to happen because, you know,
that's how I've always thought about video games. It's like when you
Rick and Morty did a thing on it.
Yeah, Rick and Morty did it. Oh.
No,
but it's like when you die, that timeline splits up into another thing.
Yeah.
But like, does that make sense? Like in a video game? Like, so you're playing. We've played Zelda Breath of the Wild, right?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So it's same. But like, how many hours do you have on that? Out of curiosity.
120.
Oh, you're over 200, 250. Have you beaten the game?
Yes, millions of times.
I
Even on Master Mode, man.
actually haven't beaten the game. I've just messed around in that game, so like it's just I just mess around with it. I think
I am disappointed.
Okay, I'll stop justifying myself. Like so when you die, that's a different universe. It splits up into a different like parallel timeline where Link dies by jumping off the Great Plateau in the very beginning of the game.
Without getting the paraglider like an idiot.
Yeah, like without getting the paraglider. You know, actually, funny story, right? When I first played the game, I thought the Great Plateau was like the whole like world. I didn't realize it was like less than like 2%.
Jeez.
But with that being said, I think the Great Plateau is like so much more densely packed with stuff compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's like that keeps splitting up, and there's like maybe infinite different timelines of Link dying throughout the thing. And like
you can't.
It's like a save.
You can't.
It's like it's sad. No, it's sad. You know that episode of Rick and Morty where like Morty gets like the video game save state thing?
That is exactly what I was talking about before.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, if you die, you stop existing, right? And you can't live if you don't exist. So who's to say that you don't move somewhere where you're living?
Yeah.
So you have an infinite chance of dying. But only you could know this, because to everyone else you die, but to you, you've just jumped off a building and survived, because even if you have a 0.0001% chance of surviving, you will. But no one else knows, except you. But don't try it, because...
Don't do that, it's bad.
That's bad. That is very bad. But it is a good... I think it's a good way of thinking, like, maybe there's something bigger. Maybe there's just something bigger. And that's it. It's just something bigger. Something huge. Full of fun, different people who live the same lives, but, you know, one day you decided to have beans from the north of Brazil in your coffee instead of the south of Brazil. Maybe there is another parallel world where New Zealand actually exists. Who knows?
What? No, that's a bit out there.
It would be rare. We'd have to go outside of the, I forgot what it's called.
Realm of possibilities.
The realm of possibilities, yes. We have to leave all logical thinking just to understand if New Zealand exists. And I don't think it does. I'm like 95% sure
I think
it does.
It's
5%. There's a 5% chance though. You never know. Anyway.
Never know.
If you've got anything else to say, I've pretty much gotten out my word vomit.
Yeah, no, me too. I think I've got everything I wanted to say.
Sweet.
Yeah, no. That was a good episode. I think it might end up being our longest.
Yes.
I think our 5th episode could end up being pretty long as well, though.
I think the political dystopia will go for pretty long, because I have a lot of ideas on that.
Yeah, same with the zombie one. Same with the zombie world one. That could also go very long. So how long is this? How much?
45 minutes, nearing.
45 minutes, and we're going to cut some footage, aren't
Yes.
we? Yeah.
So next time on this great podcast, you will hear about our ideas of political dystopia and utopia, which is an idea of what if the world was controlled by a government so perfect that no one cares that it exists, or a government so perfect that no one can overthrow it, and it's either a bad world or a good world. But I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Globalism taken to the extreme, basically.
Yes, and all of that. Basically, political systems so corrupted, but so perfect that you can't do anything about it. There you go. That'll be next time on Confidently. Sweet.
Alright.
So
Sweet.
Thank you. Subscribe.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Subscribe. Do the thing. Press the subscribe button. And like
Makes
it,
us
don't
happy.
dislike, even though you can't anymore.
Higher numbers make us happy. The higher the number goes, the
Higher
more
number
happy
sends
we feel.
dopamine through brain, and I like when dopamine. And leave a comment saying what we should do better next time.
If you've watched this far, then thank you.
And if you've watched this far, comment the secret word, New Zealand doesn't exist. That's going to be
New Zealand.
comment. And if you
It's my favorite, as one word, like no spaces, as
Yes.
one word. New Zealand doesn't exist.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Go.